Hey, fight fans, welcome back to Carlo Cruz at MMA. Today I have a very special guest. He is coming off of a big Bellator win over Douglas Lima. He is Canadian mixed martial artist, Mr. Arron Jeffery. Arron, what's going on, man? How does it feel? You took out a very popular name in the world of Bellator. Are you riding that momentum right now?
Yeah, man, I'm feeling good. I just kind of got back and settled, decompressing a little bit from fight week. I feel like I'm still like a little bit jet lagged and hungover from the fight and the beer, but no, I'm feeling good.
So obviously, Douglas Lima, a guy, it's been around for a while, especially if you've been a fan of Bellator for a long time. You know who he is, you know who his brother is. Definitely a great name for you to take off. Overall, are you happy with the performance as a whole here?
Yeah, I actually just watched it back for the first time today. Um, yeah, I mean, I think there's pros or ups and downs. Like you can always take away things to work on from fights. My goal in this fight was to wrestle. Like that's what I want to do. He's an elite kickboxer. He's got deadly leg kicks. He's broken guys' legs. He's got power in his hands. So I wanted to wrestle him. And that's what I did. Could it have been a more exciting fight? Yeah, probably. Could I have done more like ground and pound or whatever? Probably. But no, I got the win, and I'm happy to work on things after a win rather than a loss.
You find that using that wrestling strength, does that really allow you to drive the fight and, maybe take striking away from guys who make a living off of knocking people out?
Yeah, for sure, man. I think that's exactly what I did. Got in his face right away, shot takedowns at the beginning of every round, um, got him to the ground. And even if I didn't get him to the ground, I made him work and slowed him down. And yeah, like I said, that was the plan, and I think it worked.
So you've been doing this for a very long time now. I mean, amateur as far as 2012. Obviously, mixed martial arts is a totally different place than it is now than it was in 2012. Especially Canada. I think for Ontario mixed martial arts, a huge deal. I believe it was 2011 or 2013, UFC 129. Jake Shields, George St. Pierre, Skydome, 50,000 plus people. Were you a fan of that event? Were you happy to be there?
Yeah, I was there. That was my first MMA event I think that I ever went to. Yeah,
No,
we sat in the very nosebleeds. I think I was like two seats from the very top, and our tickets were like $700 or something crazy.
Before that, mixed martial arts was kind of a struggle. It was not legalized many places in Canada. It wasn't legalized many places in the United States. They thought this was like criminal activity and it was barbaric and called human cockfighting and, all of this stuff. Did that event really, kind of instill to you that, as a Canadian, you and others, can fight at the biggest stage of the world?
For sure, man. Yeah, that was sick. Like, I don't know how many people were in that stadium, but it was packed full. It was loud, and it was cool. I mean, like, do I think the sport is ever really going to be on the same level as like a NHL or NFL? Maybe not, but it's definitely been legitimized a lot more in like the last decade or so.
A lot of people don't realize, back in the day, 10, 15 years ago, some of these regional promotions, some of the amateur shows, kind of like the wild, wild west. I've heard some crazy stories. Do you have any stories of we back there?
Sorry, just cut out for a sec.
Okay. All right, I'll redo it. During the early days, do you have any stories of maybe fighting in unsafe conditions, like, early promotions like bars, outside, mystery opponents, guys that you didn't know you were fighting, bad medicals? You have anything crazy?
Yeah, most of my amateur career was in Ohio. It was like easy to get licensed there, and there was always lots of shows going on. I wouldn't say it was unsafe, but it was definitely something to see. Like it was a sight to see. I know one of my amateur fights, it was outside at like a county fair, and we were like in front of the grandstands outside. So when the event started, it was light outside, and then it was sunset. So the sun is like shining through the cage and getting in your eyes. And then it became nighttime, so it kind of got dewy. So the mat and the canvas was super slippery. So that was something weird. And for that event, they weighed us in on a bathroom scale on a piece of plywood on like a dirt floor outside. So I'm not sure how accurate those weigh-in numbers were.
What was the fight scene like in Ontario when you first started? Was it hard to get fights? Were there a lot of promotions back then?
I think it was like next to impossible. That's why all my amateur fights were in the States. It was illegal for a long time, and then do you remember? Do you know like the Toronto Pro Super Show, that big event with like bodybuilding and CrossFit and all
Yes.
that
Yep.
shit?
Yep.
They had like the first amateur MMA event there, and the rules were crazy. I think it was like 2 minute rounds. There was no ground and pound. Refs were just like stopping fights if anyone got in any sort of trouble. So it wasn't really a great scene, that's for sure.
Back in the day, I wasn't even sure, 15, 20 years ago, if it was even legal to train it. Like, did you guys have to like sneak training mixed martial arts?
I don't know. I think training was legal as long as I was training, anyways. Maybe before that it wasn't, but no, I'm pretty sure it was legal when I was training. Otherwise, I've been a criminal for a long time.
When you first got into this, did you ever envision how big this sport would become? All these different promotions now, the money better than it ever has been. Did you ever see this coming?
Well, I mean, like when I was getting into it, I thought it was big already. Like again, watching GSP in Toronto there, or like even back in the day, watching Anderson Silva, BJ Penn, these kind of guys. I thought the sport was huge, but I think that was just kind of my personal bias. But no, obviously, since like McGregor came around and how much things have changed since then, it's pretty crazy.
In addition to fighting on Bellator, you've had the opportunity a couple times to fight on the Dana White Contender Series. Do you remember where you were when you got the first phone call that you were going to be able to fight against Brendan Allen on the Contender?
I do remember. I used to work at a nutrition clinic, and I was on my way home from work back to my mom's house. I was driving home, and my manager called me.
Obviously, the outcome of both the contests against Brendan Allen, the second time against Kyle Bio, didn't go your way. Obviously, you took on two really tough guys that are doing big things in the sport. To this day, what was that experience like, and what did you learn from those contests?
Yeah, it was sick, man. Big opportunity, big stage, um, fighting some of the top guys in the world. Not that we knew that at the time because they both didn't have a name for themselves, but looking back, obviously we know who they are now. So yeah, good experience, man. I'm nothing but happy with how my career has played out since then. So yeah, it's positive.
One of those guys, Brendan Allen, obviously trains down in Florida, trains at Killcliff MMA. It's a gym that you also do some training on. Have you guys become buddies? Are you guys good training partners and stuff now?
Yeah, man. He's last time I was down there, he was like one of my main sparring partners for this camp. He's a good dude. Obviously, a very talented fighter. Yeah, me and him get along well.
Obviously, you do training at a couple different places. You train at Niagara Top Team, Mike Malott, Jasmine Justavicius, the other guys up there. And then you do a split over down in Killcliff with all those great warriors. What is your mentality? Why do you like doing the cross training approach?
There's just not tons of big guys here for me at NTT. Like we got some welterweights, but other than that, I'm kind of the biggest guy in the gym, and I love the guys here, and they're all sick and they're super talented. But you kind of just sometimes need guys your size, right? So Killcliff has a huge team. They got like lots of middleweights and light heavyweights, and I've made a good relationship there. I love the coaches. I love the gym, the atmosphere there. So it's just kind of become a second home for me.
I definitely think Canadian mixed martial arts is definitely on the rise. I mean, we have some wonderful mixed martial artists from Canada, and I think your gym, Niagara Top Team, is one of the best gyms in Canada. I mean, you get yourself, Jasmine Justavicius, you got Mike Malott, you have a bunch of other great upcoming fighters there. What is that atmosphere like training in a gym of that high caliber?
Yeah, it's sick, man. Like seems like every weekend someone's fighting, whether it's one of the guys on the amateur team or it's like Mike Jazz in the UFC or me in Bellator. We got Romero who's in PFL. It's cool. Like we've come a long way from just a few years ago. We were training in like we used to call it the dungeon. It was a shitty little basement gym, had almost no mat space. It was gross down there. And yeah, now we got guys in like all the big promotions. We've got like up and coming Amis, a solid pro team with a lot of guys that I think are going to get in the big show soon too. So it's pretty special.
You know, you've really started to make a name of your own in Bellator, you know, promotion that you've done great things in, 4-2 fighter there, great record. I think you really came on the scene to a lot of people when you took on Austin Vanderford. Obviously, Mr. Van Zant, very popular because of Page and everything, but you went out there, amazing performance. I mean, that knockout was so nasty there. It looked like you hit him with a 3 and you knocked him out cold. Walk me through that finish. Walk me through everything when you landed before you went to throw the hook.
Yeah, it's kind of a blur, man. The fight was so fast, and it was like, I don't know, it just felt like a fast pace right from the start. I don't know how much of a fast pace it was, but like it felt kind of tense the whole time. So, yeah, it's a bit of a blur. But I knocked him down once early in the fight, and kind of knew I had him hurt, and then yeah, man, I was basically just kind of throwing power with everything I had in every strike, and sat him down again. The ref pulled me off.
You know, following that contest, that clip went absolutely viral, went all over the internet. Did you see a lot of attention come your way following that contest?
Yeah, for sure. I like me and my coach joke about it. Like everyone says, it seems like an overnight success, right? But we say it's like it's an overnight success that was actually 10 years in the making, because I'd been training my ass off for as long as I can remember. I've been fighting high level guys for a long time. And that just happened to be the one that kind of catapulted me a little bit into the spotlight.
You know, I think so many people watch, so many casual fans watch mixed martial arts to this day and age. You know, they see the Conor McGregors of the world, the Usmans, the John Joneses, the Patchy Mixes, and they're like, what a glorious life. This is amazing to be a professional fighter. Yet I don't think they understand, even for a second, the sacrifices it takes to be a professional fighter. You know, obviously, before you get to the big shows, you're battling it out on the regional scene. I think was one of the toughest things in the world to do. You're making next to nothing to fight. A lot of guys have to work 9 to 5 jobs. They have kids, they have a wife, they have to pay to train, they have to get punched in the face. And you know, even when you make the bigger shows, the money is better. I'm sure it's better in the regional scene, but those sacrifices still continue. You've been doing this for a very long time, over 10 years. What has made you stay motivated to get through and keep pushing every day to get through the sacrifices?
It's a good question, man. I don't know. I think I'm an idiot, maybe. um, I don't know. It's something that I've loved for a long time. Um, it's hard to say. I don't know. It's like some kind of addiction or something. Like you'll ask any fighter, like the best feeling in the world is getting your hand raised in the cage. So part of it's like chasing that feeling. Part of it's like committing to something that I want to do, living out a dream, not trying to half-ass it. So I think there's a lot of factors that go into why we do this, and it's kind of hard to put into words.
You know, are you pretty much at the point in your life, you know, even when your time is done and you have to hang up the competition gloves, do you want to be part of mixed martial arts in one way, shape, or form for the rest of your life?
I think so. I think I will be. I don't plan to open a gym and like coach a team of fighters. I don't think that's really my thing, but I think I'll train forever. I'll definitely keep grappling and maybe hitting mitts, and I don't know, maybe spar a little bit here and there, and kind of helping some of the other guys like come up. Like once I'm done, I'm sure I'll know some guys that are earlier in their pro careers, and helping guys like that.
You know, I joke with Jesse Ronson all the time, another Canadian fighter from Ontario, and a lot of times he fights on Saturdays. And I was like, Jesse, I don't know if you can do this during hockey season because I don't know if Canada's going to watch you or the Toronto Maple Leafs. Did you ever find that? Do you obviously, you know, hockey, something's in Canada so big, it's like a religion there. Do you find that, you know, maybe hockey's taking some of the shine away from mixed martial arts a little bit?
I don't know if it's like taking the shine away, but like I said earlier, man, I don't know if the sport's ever really going to compete with those types of sports. They've been around for so long, they're so popular, and this is brutal, man. Like I don't know how many like grandmas and grandpas want to watch cage fighting on a Saturday night. So I just don't know if it can ever really be quite as mainstream as like stick and ball sports.
You know, you're 31 years old now. You're going to the prime of your career. You just took off of a huge guy in Douglas Lima. Obviously, some big stuff happened with whole PFL and Bellator last year. Big merger, maybe making some opportunities where guys like you can go ahead and fight in the PFL, fight for that $1 million prize. When you first heard about the news of that merger, what were your thoughts?
It was stressful, man. It was pretty stressful because I didn't know if Bellator was just gonna dissolve. I didn't know if I was still gonna have a job. I finally felt like I had some security in my career. Like I signed a good contract with Bellator, and I was like, nice, I have a home now. And then all of a sudden, a few fights later, they're talking about selling or dissolving or whatever. So it was a stressful time, but I'm happy that it worked out the way that it did.
No, obviously after taking out Douglas Lima the way you did, dominating fashion there, do you feel going forward? Do you think you're going to start seeing a lot of big names come your way?
Probably, man. I mean, since I've been in Bellator, there hasn't really been any easy fights, so I don't expect any at this point.
In a perfect world, how active do you want to be to close out the year?
3 fights a year would be sick. So if I got one more, that'd be cool. Don't know if it's possible. I don't know. Bellator has like 1 or 2 shows left, so I don't know if it's gonna happen. But I'll stay ready.
What is the goal now for you? In this day and age, where you're at in your career right now, has it changed at all from where it was maybe 8, 9, 10 years ago?
I can't really say I ever had like really long-term goals in the sport. Like it's always been kind of taking it one fight at a time and see what happens. And I think I would say that I'm the same now. I don't think a title shot's next. I'm still working my way back there. So again, yeah, I'll just see who's next and fight whoever's in front of me.
All right, Arron, last question for you, my friend. 31 years old, you're doing big things right now, 4-2 in the PFL. In a perfect world, what do you want people to remember you for? When this is all said and done, what do you want the MMA fans to remember Arron Jeffery for?
I want to be known as a guy that's like fought the highest level guys, been around forever. Not a journeyman, because some people kind of use that in like a negative way, but someone who's been around, he's fought everyone, he's been at the top of the division for a long time, and he's kind of done it all.
Absolutely. Well, Arron, thank you so much for talking with me tonight, my friend. I hope to see you get a big name soon, and thanks again, buddy.
Thank you, bro. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Well, that's it for us tonight. That's Mr. Arron Jeffery. I'm Carlo Perusa. Big Round Fight fans. Awesome. Thank